Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. Today, I have Dan Cicerchi on with us. I'm so excited because he's technically like my boss, something like that. He's the general manager of the transportation pillar of Descartes. So he is over a lot of products, but the main ones I know are 3G, Aljex, MyCarrierPortal, and MacroPoint. Really, he's like the OG founder of or co-founder of MacroPoint. So super intelligent guy. Like every time I talk to him, I feel like I'm just kind of blown away by his wisdom and knowledge. And he's got tons to share. He's always kind of been what I like to consider mentor figure for me. So whenever I talk to him, I'm always at, after we get done jotting down things that he wrote or excuse me, jotting down things that he said, and kind of taking in as much as I can from what knowledge he has, because he's just kind of one of those guys that is there to support people and also is there to educate. So really great to be part of his team, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet him and kind of hear his backstory, and then also just to kind of see where Descartes' going. I think it's important to highlight different companies and what their routing is and kind of where their future's at. So, anyways, let's jump in it and learn some more about Dan.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. As working with you closely with Descartes, it's been really fun to get to know you. And so I've been like, I want to hear your whole story and have you on here. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here. Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah. Why don't we start off a little bit and you kind of introduce yourself and like what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of get into the whole backstory of how you've came where you're at.
Sure. So, Dan Cicerchi, I'm the general manager, excuse me, of the TM pillar at Descartes. So I'm responsible for all of our, I'll call it execution technologies globally. So from TMSs to our global visibility platform to our fraud platforms, we think about MyCarrierPortal and again, North America and global.
It's awesome. So my care portal, Aljax, 3G, MacroPoint. That's really all of them, right? Is there anything else I'm missing? There's so many products.
Yeah, there is a lot. I mean, we try to acquire the best of breed companies to fill the niches that our customers want us to be in. So we have 4 or 5 TMSs. You rattle off some of those, and then MCP and Aljax and MacroPoint, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because it's definitely, especially being on the sales side over here, is a great like one-stop shop for really any size broker. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you're enterprise level, you have the ability to stay in one network and then only add on. Like I had a brand new customer the other day and it was a brand new broker and they're like, well, what exactly do I need to get started? I'm like, well, really you just need, our 3 things. And then on top of that, like DAT and QuickBooks. And really, that's all you need to get started at Descartes. And I think that's what you guys really were envisioning as you guys acquire is finding that one-stop shop.
Yeah, and be a good partner too. So, we have, I think, if we think about some of our products in MacroPoint and MCP and others, we have, probably 80 TMSs that we partner with and integrate to. So where
Right.
there's a best of breed or unique need or reason why a customer wants a particular use case or solution that's not in our portfolio, I think we partner very well so gives the customer opportunities to pick and choose kind of what fits for them. And then they have the opportunities, like your example, you can start small. And then as you continue to grow your business, there's more opportunities and capabilities that you can activate as you need it.
Yeah. No, definitely. And each brokerage is so different, or shipping company, whoever it is so different with the commodities that you ship and just your use cases if you're doing product or project management, or if you're doing spot shipments or LTL, or, list goes on and on in logistics. So yeah, you're definitely right with having that strong partnership and then making sure, because we're pretty big on like integrations too, like making sure they're up to date and, what we need to enhance for our customers. Cause at the end of the day, if our product looks bad in their system, our product looks bad. So it's cool being part of that type of team where we're here to collaborate and, enhance everything.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So tell me a little bit about your like background, and because you kind of like the godfather of MacroPoint. So how did that whole thing get started? I know it was funny because I was talking to your brother Nick, who works with us, and he was kind of giving me a little bit of your story. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to meet with Dan and him say his whole life story, basically. If you want to kind of jump into
Well, I'll
that.
spare you. I'll spare you all the life story details, but yeah, I think it goes back. my business partner and I, Bennett Adelson, we started a technology consulting company. So a few years out of school, I had worked with lots of companies that needed good people to build their tech. And then got to know Bennett, and we said, hey, we think we can do it differently. I think we have a unique ability to evaluate good people, hire them, and then bring process and our unique experiences in tech to really build out best of breed solutions. So we started with a consulting company. We built that. We probably had, maybe 80 to 100 folks within that business. And we
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
build out what we call a recurring revenue business, known as SaaS today. But we
Mhm.
thought we can invest our know-how and capabilities into a product that we can keep building out. And so we did a little R&D, on a couple of different things. And, obviously, long story short, the one that won out became MacroPoint. And it took off like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
So we
Because
took
back in the day,
a
there
couple
wasn't
of
anything like it really.
no, there wasn't. And we certainly was a journey to convince people that we could deliver on it. And funny enough, MacroPoint was built as an ELD on a phone. That was our initial
Huh.
product, is we were going to be an in-cab solution that uses consumer grade hardware, so lower cost. And we learned a lot. We decided we definitely did not want to be in the hardware business, but we
Yeah.
also learned a lot more about the problem. And that was, we want the same visibility we get in our trucks, we want with the carriers and drivers that we hire on a spot basis. And that really was the impetus for what we know today as MacroPoint.
So how did you get into the logistics space of it? Whenever you're doing the tech consulting, was that turned into a lot of logistics space on that part, or how did you fall into that?
So we had some logistics expertise within our consulting group.
Okay.
And so as we batted around ideas, there was a thought that, hey, this is a problem in the industry that we think maybe we can solve. And then ultimately, as a consultative seller, went out and talked to the actual customers that says, is this a problem? Can we validate it? And ultimately we did.
Uh-huh.
And I remember celebrating when we tracked 100 loads in a day.
Oh,
There
wow,
was
yeah, and
probably
now there's
7 or 8 of us. Yeah, we're doing millions, but it was exciting because it was a real watershed moment, and the tech leadership that built that, Murray and Sham, are still the lead architects within the platform today. So that
yeah.
they've really built, and they should be very proud of the platforms that they built and continue to build.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember because so I've been in logistics for I think I'm going on 11 years, but I was a broker for 8. So my first brokerage I worked at, we used MacroPoint, and that was back in the day. Whenever you would put in a phone number and it would start tracking them right away, and they would have to write stop before it would stop tracking. And so if they hit stop, then you would just start a new session and keep going over and over again because you kept trying to get that location without blowing them up. And then I guess things change, privacy laws change, and that's why kind of it is the way it is now. Where they have that you guys developed the app which makes drivers' lives a lot easier. And so just that transition with MacroPoint and learning a lot from customers and carriers too, how has that, I guess, built the product the way that it has? And how has your kind of input in that changed to where it's at today?
Sure. I mean, I used to, after dinner every night, call drivers and walk them through installing the app. And
Wow.
so I learned a lot. I learned a lot of interesting 4 and extra letter words too, because people didn't understand. There was certainly a lot of concern of Big Brother and the government and all that. But it really kind of the birth of how we think about our platform today stems back to that. And it really thinks about we're driver and carrier centric. So we are
Yeah,
accountable to the relationships and the trust that those drivers and carriers put in our platform to build on and to maintain. So that it really what we do today is directly a result of those evening phone calls that I made way back in the day.
that's crazy. Well, that makes sense, kind of pulling up your bootstraps and figuring that out. And it's funny because as a broker, whenever you are talking to drivers, kind of like you said, you learn a whole new avenue of the way they speak and they handle things. And a lot of the times, like even for me on the My Care Portal side, same thing. Like as a carrier gets in there and it can become overwhelmed, and then hey, I'm not even doing your load, and they fall off the load, and then it messes everything up. And so it's so important to have kind of carrier buy-in And that's kind of why I think MacroPoint's gotten the name that it's gotten.
Yeah, and I think that's if I think about our broker customers, that's one of the things that I think our broker customers appreciate and get value from too, is if you want to
Mhm.
be the broker of choice. And again, the industry, well, if we think about supply and demand, it changes rapidly and then sometimes people change how they treat each other based on that. And we've
Right.
been very consistent in making sure no matter what, our drivers and our carriers really rely on and trust us to be good stewards of their data. And I think that's appreciated. And, we'll see another capacity cycle where dynamics will change and, our mindset won't. We will still do what's in the best interest of our driver and carrier partners to make sure that they're supported and protected.
So what happened? So I guess in the very beginning of MacroPoint, you guys are kind of bootstrapping it all up. You guys are coming together, and you guys even still to this day, most of the people that you guys have on board at Descartes is the OG MacroPoint people. And so, what brought you to the point where you're like, "Hey, I think we're ready to be acquired," and I guess take me through that journey.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think before I do what you just said, we have so many of the people that are still here, and that's super
Hmm.
important to me because technology changes. Now, we're talking AI, but what we think about is we got to get the right people on the bus. If I go back to the good to great that Bennett and I used to meet on and read every year, we would go somewhere, schedule time to reflect on that. It's really about making sure that the right people are on the bus and have the opportunity to continue to grow. As we grew the business, I mean, quite frankly, I think and there's lots of entrepreneurs out there that can appreciate this. I mean, one day you think you're going to go to the moon, and the next day you think you're going to go out of business, and you kind of
Hmm.
whipsaw back and forth. And we got to the point where we felt. If we think about, we took on a private equity partner to help us grow. And then we got to the point where we wanted to grow faster and more globally. And that's when Descartes came into the picture, where getting to know Ed Ryan, the CEO, and others, it was a great like final home for an entrepreneurial, fast-growing freight tech company that wanted to have global aspirations. And we've really
Yeah.
done that. I mean, it's been a little over, I think, 8 years in plugging into all the Descartes resources to keep scaling that business.
Yeah, and like you said, globally, it's wild the impact of MacroPoint, and it is almost like the Kleenex of tracking. I mean, that's what you refer to as tracking is MacroPoint. You don't really refer to any other name, I feel like, in logistics, and that's even me not even working here. That was me prior to being here. That was just kind of a standard.
That's when we knew we had something. When we'd be on the brokerage floor and people would say, "Oh, I need to macro point that load." And you started to hear people say, "I got to macro point a load." And we thought, "Okay, I think we're onto something here." And sure enough, we were.
That's so cool. Well, after you sold and or got acquired, not I guess sold, but after you got acquired, I mean, a lot of people as soon as they kind of get rid of their baby, I guess, or sell their baby off or hand their baby off is the right way to say it. Usually they make sure the boat floats and then they kind of go retire and, go off in the sunset and on the beach somewhere. So what keeps you here? And I know I believe you left and you came back and that type of stuff, but what was your journey like there?
Well, I mean, I had the same thought as, we'll get the business integrated, I think, for a year and then step away and retire. And I
Hmm.
I did do that for about 3.5 months and realized that I'm not built to do nothing. I
Yeah.
really do love what I do. I love the people. I love the challenges. Not every day is roses, but I love the opportunities and working with passionate people to help them fully realize their successes. I mean, I do love that. And so, yeah, it wasn't a hard decision to come back. It certainly was a great opportunity. And the team, yeah, I think we have a great thing going. We continue to build as our pillar continues to grow, as
Uh-huh.
we acquire new businesses. I mean, you came with the MyCarrierPortal acquisition. The acquisition is not just about the tech, right? It's about the people. And then how do you help those people come in and then grow? And then we just
Yeah.
made our 3G TMS acquisition about 7 or 8 months ago. Again, same thing. Super pleasantly surprised with those two acquisitions and just the quality of the people that we get to work with every day and then be a part of where we're going and continue to grow and lead what the future of Descartes will be in our pillar.
So I know a lot of times whenever people sell their products, some people will be like, hey, they sold their product and that's when the product went to die. That they don't have that support from the new acquisition company of, hey, keep growing the way do as you do, don't stop what you're doing. And, we're here to support type thing. And I think Descartes is a lot different in that way. I guess as far as you being the leader that you are within the TM pillar, and I know that's kind of a whole Descartes thing. There's so many different products that they have. So that type of message that Descartes has as, your product's not here to die, we're here to make money and that type of thing. How do you keep, reinforcing that same thing throughout each product? Because there's a lot of products that you manage
Yeah.
and there's a lot of product managers that you got to manage and people you got to manage. You can do a lot. How do you handle all that?
For sure. I mean, I think, when we think about the businesses that we acquire, I mean, we always take the mindset of first do no wrong, do no harm. We want to make sure
Hmm.
that we're buying a company because there's great people and great tech and great customers. So let's not hurt that. And then, we apply the things that our customers really rely on, information security, really global best practices for securely building, scaling, the things that, if we look back when we had MacroPoint as a standalone or my carrier portal, you just don't have the resources and
Right.
capabilities to think about all the problems that you need to solve as you scale. And in Descartes, that expertise is available and easily tapped. And that's what I do. And I think, like you said, there's lots of great people, product managers, technologists, sales leaders like yourself that, you try to coach a little bit, you try not to get in the way, and then you try to help provide some guidance and direction that, been through it, been doing, this for 25, 30 years and have learned a few things and try to share that wisdom within a structure that helps people grow and learn. And then going into this year, you're just renewed excitement about both the opportunities and challenges that we and others face, and how do we get better together?
Yeah. So I know, obviously, fraud girl, me being fraud girl, that's a big hot topic, and it kind of interesting journey for Descartes and knowing like having the acquisition of my care portal, and then just the whole fraud guard part with MacroPoint. Because I mean, to be blunt, I had a load that was stolen and back whenever I was a broker, this was several years ago, but and the pings were showing right, but this was back kind of prior to any type of fraud guard or any type of spoofing technology being put in place. So whenever that whole, I guess, crisis happened, what was like behind the scenes happening with, I guess at that time it was just MacroPoint, to kind of get back and like, hey, we got to get this under control because this is wild. Because I think it took everybody, the cargo theft fraud game took everybody by storm, and everybody had to kind of be like, shoot, we need to reevaluate this and buckle down and fix it. So what was it like prior to me being on board, and what was it like with MacroPoint?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think what we saw is, MacroPoint is an enormous network. It's, the biggest visibility network in North America. We thought that we had an opportunity and a responsibility to glean insights out of the data to
Hmm.
really help our customers make more like optimized decisions. So and that's why we bought My Carrier Portal too. So if we
Yeah.
think about, hey, pre-tender, pre-network, we need to stop it at the source. And we looked around of what products, solutions, and people are out there and thought with Jay Pelkey, he's kind of the godfather of carrier onboarding and monitoring. And you're a great example of the acquisition brings great people that then elevate and grow the Fraud Girl brand that you're building. Super proud of you for the
Yeah.
continued focus and leadership that you're showing there. But yeah, so we wanted the pre-network, pre-tender risk, and then we started to glean insights within MacroPoint where we can detect spoofing. And we compete with, it's kind of an arms race with the bad guys. And these are
Uh-huh.
smart, well-funded, and you'd wish they'd put their time and talent to productive legal uses because I think they'd be very successful. But it's an arms race. We deal with it every day, and started to build out insights first on spoofing, And then with the advent of FraudGuard, of really granular insights on carriers and drivers and the risk that may be associated with the performance of them on the network. And it's a learning. And so now we're starting to say, hey, what are the best data points that we have in MacroPoint, and how do we serve those to MyCarrierPortal
Mm.
so you can make even more informed decisions about the carriers you want in your network? And then the other way is true too, is, hey, once you have someone in your network, what other monitoring insights are we getting from MyCarrierPortal, combined with the real-time FraudGuard insights that we get on a load that really, again, surface alerts. I think we had 52,000 FraudGuard
Wow,
alerts that went out last year to
that's crazy.
customers saying, hey, this might be a problem. And
Yeah.
so we're continuing to build out tools and leverage AI to make it meaningful and reduce and continue to fight the bad guys wherever.
Yeah, it's interesting because kind of like you said, it's an arms race. And so I think the biggest thing on any provider is nobody has a silver bullet. Nobody does. They may say that they do, but I promise if you do today, you won't tomorrow. They find that. And I think the biggest thing is creating type of alerts or risk assessments, kind of like we've been talking about. And you need to have that insight of like, hey, something may be going on, spidey senses are going off. And then that's kind of when more human intervention comes into play, and having that conversation and digging deeper into who exactly this driver is, talking to your shipper. Hey, will you go out here and look at this guy? Because I don't know for sure about him. He may be the best driver in the whole wide world, or he's going to steal this shipment and we don't know what's going to happen. So there,
Right.
those bad guys really are doing such a great job as masking themselves as good guys. And so we can build and build and build and like kind of band-aid everything that they come out with, or we can build different insights where we're taking different data points and saying, hey, something's off here, look into it further, because it's not a yes or no game, and it honestly really never will be until they're officially caught. It's kind of like, you want to right now it's like verify and then trust. Well, I think we need to kind of get back to the trust and verify type thing, but having those kind of interweave together where you're verifying and trusting at the same time. And that's bringing enough data points in the beginning so that you can do that, instead of it just
Yeah.
being such a, because right now it's just like we're a lot of brokers and shippers treat carriers as if they're all bad until they're, proving themselves good. And really at the end of the day, the cargo theft and fraud is really 1% of all the network. And so you still have the 99% of carriers out there that are doing what they should be doing, and you don't need to treat them like they're bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think first, belts and suspenders, as I tell people, like, there's no silver bullet. The more
No.
data insights you can get from more places, and then the brokers kind of differentiate themselves by taking all these disparate insights from our products and others to make their best decisions. And then also, I do think as the capacity continues to evolve, I think we will see carriers with the luxury to pick and choose the brokers that treat them the best. And we think that positions us very well as we evolve into the next economic and capacity cycle.
Yeah, I agree. Because even part of our training too is being able to look at carriers in a certain way and then vetting them in a certain way, and you're not just kind of dogging them down because of whatever. It's having a further conversation and treating carriers because they're humans. I think a lot of people forget that when they're sitting there making phone calls and begging for a truck, but at the
That's
end of the
right.
day,
That's
that's
right.
what they are. Let's get into AI because I'm really excited about where Descartes' going with AI, just from what little bit I know, but I know you know all the things. So what's next steps for Descartes and AI and any other avenues we're getting into?
Well, I think the start is Descartes by its nature is a network business. We have our global logistics network that really is kind of the overarching brand for all the data elements and data sources, including MacroPoint, that really feed that. So when we think about, you have this enormous data network, AI, the impact of AI, immeasurable in two ways.
Mhm.
One, AI can grow your network, meaning make it easier for you to add more secure, validated entrants into the network. And then secondly, improve the quality of the data in the network. So
Mm.
those are the two, like, high level things. When I think about AI every day, and I ask our teams as we're working on it, we should be doing one of those two things. And then, so how does that work in action? So the uh, the recent launch of the MacroPoint Ops Force is super exciting. And that's something that's been a long time coming. I mean, if we think about Descartes and our data sovereignty and our legal commitments that we give, we spent a lot of time, we're talking about 8 or 9 months, really making sure that we could both protect our customers' data and our data and make sure that no LLMs can learn off of that.
Mm,
Super important. And again, if we go back to the difference between the standalone startups and Descartes, we're accountable and responsible to invest in protecting that data. So
yeah.
there's a lot of AI companies may or may not be thinking about investing or able to really make those architecture decisions, contractual commitments, et cetera. So we did all that, and then we started to launch our OpsForce network. So as you know, Debbie was the first to launch, and the stats are unbelievable. And so Debbie is a driver assistant. So when a driver is on a load and needs help, so they haven't installed the app for whatever reason, Debbie will reach out, talk to, and walk the driver through the installation. And
Yeah.
so the performance of that agent, and we, as an aside, have invested in that at no cost for all of our customers at this point. So there are agents working 24/7, 365, and really replacing some of the manual effort that our customers were doing and our internal teams were doing. So we're off and running with MacroPoint OpsForce for sure.
Yeah, I actually did a test call for they wanted me to do a recording and, like, act like I was a driver so that they could do that for, like, demos and things like that. And it's funny because Debbie sounded really real. I mean, like, there was, like, some, like, points whenever she's speaking, and there's, like, some hesitations. Like, it was I almost forgot I was talking to an AI person even though I already knew it. And I think there's a lot of hesitation with drive or a lot of out there, I guess, drivers and carriers have some hesitation with working with AI agents, thinking that, hey, I'm not just whatever I need, and I'm not just here to talk to a robot. But I think the having it in a way where, kind of the mundane tasks like you're talking about and the availability of, hey, I can help you at any point in the day, not just whenever it's convenient for me, 8 to 5, even as like talking to a broker. I think that's huge on a carrier level and kind of like we originally said back in the beginning of the conversation was like getting back to there for the carrier and making sure that it's more carrier focused on adoption and making their life easier.
That's right. I mean, and remember when we said, hey, we're like grounded on doing what's right and the trust that we get from drivers and carriers, we take that into our OpsForce products as well. So, we're not going to be calling drivers every 15 minutes.
Right.
So it's abusive. And you'll see others that maybe try to do that. That's not a solution. I think where our AI team is solving problems, it's really around helping them get installed. If there's an update that's missing for whatever reason, we will have a call go out to that driver to troubleshoot and then get a location update. We have Ava who is validating arrival departures,
Mm,
making sure that the driver didn't show up and get turned away. We want to
that's
really make
huge.
sure, are you getting unloaded? Are you getting loaded?
Yeah,
Super important. And
huge.
then we have, I think it's Dean that is doing the document capture. So going and reminding the driver is, hey, can you upload the POD with the MacroPoint app? Right? Because if we think about compressing order to cash, so the brokers
Mhm.
in many cases can't invoice until they get that POD. So these are all the things that our customers are doing manually today that are asking us that, hey, can you take that on? Because
Right.
we think of this the same. Our customers' people should be spending more time with their customers
Yeah.
and less time doing some of the mundane reminders and things like that that I think can be well served by MacroPoint OpsForce.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, as a broker, because I worked for a small brokerage, but as a broker for me, it was I had to call for like our accounting team would call for PODs within 24 hours. And if that didn't happen, then I was having to call once a day for like, up to a month before I was like hounding, like literally pounding on their doors trying to get it. And I didn't have time for that. I was in sales, and that's where I should have had my time focused was that. And then we had our dispatch team who was having a call for arrival and departure, like you said, setting up the app and making sure the check calls were there, and kind of making sure the whole workflow was there. But really, the trusting in the MacroPoint product which is. I mean, I've never found a point where it wasn't true, unless if it was like they got turned away at the pickup and it counted them out or something, but having that AI agent do that for you is just huge. I mean, it takes so much time away from, your dispatch team or your carrier sales, any type of sales team really, where and getting back to let's get back to revenue generating and not just the day-to-day tasks that, are basically time consuming.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of brokers every week. They tell me, "Dan, I'm not gonna add more people, but I
Yeah.
need to grow. How can you help me grow my business?" And
Mhm.
this ops force agent team is purpose-built to free people up to do just that.
That's huge. So what else is Descartes up to? Are they any new acquisitions? I'm trying to get any information out of you.
Well, look, I mean, I think, we see a world where our customers want fewer vendors and have a consistent trust and engagement that they get with Descartes in other areas of their business. So
Mhm.
we feel like as a technology consolidator, I think we're positioned well to, find the right companies, not only buy those companies, but really bring the best and brightest out and integrate them into our network and
Mhm.
provide kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 value prop to the customers of those acquisitions. So, we're always looking for, the next acquisition, no doubt. And I think it's a good opportunity, and we certainly see lots of areas that I think we can invest in.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting going to like all the tech shows and you go to them too, where you see all the new tech here and the next thing there, and you're like, oh man, that would be so cool, and this would be perfect as a fit in into this product or that product. So it is pretty cool being a part of a team where Descartes is like a acquiring monster, I guess is the way to put it. They're just there to enhance and basically build that network up. So it's very cool to be part of this team for sure.
Yeah, and in many ways, the acquisition pipeline comes through our partnerships.
Hmm.
We have fantastic partnerships with lots of broker TMSs and other very like if we think about, Freight Audit and Pay and other financial tools, there's a lot of great partners in our ecosystem that we work with. And it
Yeah.
gives us the opportunity to see, hey, where can we add value if they go from being a partner to part of Descartes. So it's super interesting and a fun part of what I get to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure that's super fun being able to vet all this stuff. Because even for me, like, working with the partnership stuff, that's so fun learning their product and, like, okay, why is my customer even buying their product, and how does my product interact with their product, and how can I enhance it, and, that stuff is just really cool. So it's cool on your side what you all get to do, so you're a busy
For
guy,
sure.
that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But having fun doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. It means a lot, and I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking your time out of your busy day and coming on, my show.
Yeah, always get a chance to talk to Fraud Girl.
I love it. All right. Well, we'll see everybody soon. Bye,
Great
everybody.
seeing you. Thanks, Danielle.